I might just move to the prosecution of Bernard Collaery. And Chair, it might be helpful because there's kind of two intersecting issues in relation to this particular trial. One relates to the closure of the court under the NSI Act, which is being conducted by the Attorney General, and the other is the prosecution of Mr Collaery in respect to the criminal matter. It might be helpful to have someone from the Attorney's Department might be familiar with this. And in that regard, I wonder if the Attorney could give me the total cost that has been expended in that matter for the Commonwealth. I know there's a difference between the Director of Public Prosecution and also the Attorney General.
Do we have the costs? We need to take them on notice. Oh, we do have the costs.
Senator, can you just repeat your question?
Just the total costs for the Commonwealth, so that would include the DPP and the Attorney General's Department in relation to Regina versus Collaery.
Senator, the costs I have got don't go to internal agency costs, but
sure.
I think we provided them earlier as well. I've got the amounts that include external legal costs that have been incurred. And the total Commonwealth external legal costs in the Collaery and Witness K matters are $4,232,569.
Wow. They're certainly going up. Last time I think we got an answer was $3.5 million.
And I should say that says at 31 January.
Sure, thank you. Now it's true that because this is a criminal matter, there won't be any cost recovery in the event, whichever way the matter falls. Is that right?
That's correct.
Thank you. These proceedings have managed to get to the High Court. I believe there's an application for special leave. It's not really related to a criminal matter. Can someone give me an idea of what the Commonwealth is doing in respect of that? What's the Commonwealth seeking from the High Court?
So the issue in the High Court is about the publication of the judgment of the ACT Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, and the issues with national security information in that judgment.
Sure. Now, is it quite unusual? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen the executive seek to suppress a judicial officer in terms of a judgment, or am I wrong? Is there past jurisprudence around this?
I can't comment on that, Senator.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, do you mind just removing your mask, if that is okay?
It does make it
Yes,
easier.
that's fine.
Easier
Thanks,
to understand you, thank you.
Attorney, it does seem a little bit extraordinary that the executive is seeking to censor a judgment of particularly of a superior court, the highest court in the ACT.
Senator, what we're seeking from the High Court is obviously the High Court to consider the application of the NSI Act and what would be appropriate in the circumstances, and it will be a matter for that court to determine.
Will the attorneys seek to close the High Court in relation to this matter?
Senator, I think those issues are still being worked through about how that matter might proceed.
Thank you. We go back to Ms McNaughton. Now, to satisfy the chair, I've actually read through all of the judgments. I think there's 10 of them from memory in respect of Justice Mossop's rulings. So there's lots and lots of information in the public domain here. And indeed, I have sought affidavits from the court. The Commonwealth DPP were part of those proceedings, so would be aware that I've done so.
Senator Patrick, can I just stop you there? The test of sub judice is not whether
this information is in the public domain. So it concerns questions which may involve a substantial danger of prejudice to proceedings, and merely discussing those matters in this forum may give rise to such prejudice. So I would
Ms.
again...
McGordon is a really experienced prosecutor. So.
Yes, I know. I understand she's very experienced, but I'm the chair of this committee and I am exercising a great deal of caution when it comes to sub judice, and therefore I would ask you to please exercise the same degree of caution. If you wish to... as I say, my responsibilities extend to chairing this committee, so I'd be most grateful if you could be very judicious on this matter.
Thank you. I might just sort of give a little example of where I'm trying to get to, so to ease everyone's concern. If someone were charged with DUI, driving under the influence, one would expect the prosecutor to obviously tender evidence related to the conduct of the person, but there would be preliminary evidence that would need to be filed, things like a calibration certificate for the alcohol measuring device. Is that fair to say? That's how you would typically do that? You'd front up to the court and say, it's calibrated, it was tested prior to going out and being used, and then Mr X or Mrs X blew 0.5 or whatever it is. There's some preliminaries.
Matters that are prosecuted by my office, Senator, so I don't quite know how I can assist you.
I was just trying to give an example. So in this particular instance, this matter involves, and the charges are well known, revealing an operation. My question to you, and this is the only question, this is my final question to you, and then I'll come back to the department or the attorney. Are you satisfied in the conduct of this prosecution that all of the approvals necessary under the Intelligence Services Act were met? It's a bit like saying, was the alcohol measuring device calibrated? It's a preliminary.
A brief of evidence has been served in this matter, and it will proceed in the way that all matters that we have decided to commence will proceed. And yes, we are satisfied that there is a sufficient level of evidence, according to the prosecution policy of the Commonwealth, to bring the proceedings.
Senator Patrick,
Thank you. So just going back to my question, so I don't think you answered it. You answered a slightly different question, so I'll just ask it again. Are you satisfied that approvals in relation to the operation that was carried out met the requirements of the legislation, the Intelligence Services legislation? And this is a question, a senator asking a prosecutor about their role. It's an oversight, that's a genuine oversight question. Are you satisfied?
Thank you, Senator. All I can indicate in terms of detail is that in bringing the case, we are satisfied to a prima facie and a reasonable prospect of conviction level that all the elements are satisfied.
So I'm trying to avoid a complete schmozzle here where we head down a pathway and we don't.
We're having a giggle over the use of the word schmozzle, but sorry, Senator Patrick.
I always benefit from Senator Scarr's contributions to the committee. That we don't head down a pathway without having done the preliminaries properly. And that's the question I'm asking you. It's the only question I'm going to ask you about this matter.
Senator, the prosecution policy of the Commonwealth requires there to be a prima facie case, a reasonable prospect of conviction, and that the prosecution is in the public interest. Yes, we are satisfied that test has been met.
Okay, thank you. I'll switch back to the attorney now, and I might ask the chair to permit me to table a document which I provided to the Secretariat. It's a statement that was made by in the Parliament of Timor-Leste To give you some comfort, I tabled this in the Senate with the permission of the whips, including Senator Dean Smith, and I did undertake to, because there was only a rough translation, to get an official translation of what was tabled in their Parliament.
Senator Patrick,
I can.
this is a committee which makes decisions on its quite independent
Sure.
from any other forum.
Just trying to give you some comfort.
And while that might give me some comfort, we need to assess the document on its merits. And this does seem to go very much to the heart of the substantive issues in the case. And I would say to you that this on its front, I'm reading it very, very quickly, that this is not an appropriate document to be
for
tabled.
a couple of hours.
Madam Chair, I understand Senator Patrick's just said that this has already been tabled in the Senate.
Yes, I understand that, but I have not read the document. Senator Carr does seem to go to the substantive issues in the case.
It's already been tabled in the Senate.
No, this committee makes decisions on its own merits in terms of the information
But
which
it's not
comes
above
before
the
our committee.
Senate.
You're trying
No, it's not above the Senate.
You're trying to
No.
censor the Timor-Leste Parliament, are you? Is that what you're trying to do?
No,
'Cause
what
there might be, there may well be
Senator
some international
Patrick,
relations issues associated with
Senator
this.
Patrick, what I'm doing is
This went to the, this
raising concern. Excuse me, Senator Patrick. I am raising concerns about matters which may prejudice
But you're out of
a
your
trial
depth, okay?
currently before the court. Now, excuse me. Please do not reflect on me as chair. Now, it's open.
You're obsessed with this issue. We've got professional people in front of the table here. What this
I'm
document
obsessed with
says-
an issue about making sure that we don't prejudice trials that are currently.
Dr. Collaery
Yes, I am.
faces
It's a very
trial
important
for
issue.
his contribution to the revelation.
Please
of the
do not
Australian
go to
Secret
the
Service
substantive issues in
operation
relation to this matter,
for
Senator Patrick.
wiretapping the East Timor
Senator
government's
Patrick, could you please
office
not-
during
Senator
the
Patrick?
office- during the oil and
Senator
gas
Patrick, you don't
negotiations
have the
of 2000.
call, and I'm going to ask you to desist from raising these matters.
Public. Okay, let me read some reported facts from the case.
Senator Patrick, we're going to suspend this hearing. We will go to a private meeting. The committee is now in session. I just want to update all those present. We have just had a private meeting in relation to the document that Senator Patrick was seeking to table. The committee has made a decision to defer its consideration of the tabling of this document until the committee can obtain further advice. We have discussed the nature of the questions that Senator Patrick wishes to raise, and he has assured us that it does not go to the substantive issues in relation to the case. I realise I am exercising a great deal of care in these matters. Senator Patrick has indicated that this document has been a very largely similar document, been tabled in the Senate, but in being judicious in relation to these matters, we have deferred our consideration as to the tabling of this document until we can get further advice. So thank you very much, Senator Patrick, for your cooperation on this matter, and I will give the call to you.
Thank you. Ms McNaughton, are you aware that in the Timor Parliament last week, a document was tabled that basically expressed a solidarity towards Mr Collaery in relation to these prosecutions, and it very carefully danced around the idea that they don't want to interfere with the judicial proceedings in another country, but it's clear that the Timorese are quite disturbed by the prosecution. And this is a question that goes to public interest, which is an executive decision made by you. I'm just wondering if you're aware of what happened in the Parliament in the Timor-Leste Parliament last week.
Thank you, Senator. Not until you mentioned
Sorry,
it.
we're just having some issues hearing. Are the microphones? They seem to be down. Oh, that's much better. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator. Not until you mentioned it, no.
Can I ask you to, I might send you a copy, it might get to you through the committee first, I presume at any point in time you can look at a prosecution and decide to abandon it on public policy grounds. Is that a possibility?
Interest.
Sorry?
Well, as you're aware, I think, Senator, yes, there are, in the prosecution policy of the Commonwealth, there are there's a non-exhaustive list of public interest factors mentioned there, and yes, we do constantly review our matters as to whether or not other matters might come to our attention that would mean that we come to a different view on public policy, for instance, yes.
Now, in relation to this, Senator Carr asked some questions, I think it was 2 estimates ago, really trying to canvass whether you had looked at, whether or not you'd canvassed that aspect of this before the prosecution had commenced. And the answer was, in essence, no. It wasn't something that was considered. So it's in that vein I ask you to perhaps have a look at that and maybe take that on notice as to whether that changes your view in respect of the decision made thus far to prosecute.
So I glean from that, Senator, that you'd be sending me something and you'd like me to take that into account?
Yes. And perhaps respond to the committee as to your views in respect of the public interest decision that you had to make or that you
and this is a statement.
Senator Patrick, just in relation to the provision of that document, it probably would be better for that to come through the committee.
Well, you don't want to own the document. You don't want it to be tabled or be in the possession of the committee. And now you're trying to.
No. I'm just indicating that would not be you providing the document to the CDPP would not be an act on behalf of the committee. But let's just consider the document, which we will do as soon as we possibly can, and then we'll have some more clarity about that.
Yeah, and if you decide to allow it to be tabled, then I would of course let the committee send that to.
Absolutely. Thanks, Senator Patrick.
But I reserve my rights if you don't.
But if not, you've got the one that's tabled in the Senate already.
No, I do actually. That's
yes,
true.
That's exactly right,
That's
Senator
true.
Patrick. So you've got various options up your sleeve, but I'm just trying to make it clear that where we are at the current point in time.
Okay, so Attorney, my next question is to you. My understanding is this prosecution requires your permission.
So the provisions that are relevant in this matter require the Attorney's consent, but that consent was given by the then Attorney-General.
Wasn't for myself.
And now it is a matter that is with the Commonwealth Director of Prosecution, Public
The
Prosecution.
then Attorney-General, Mr Porter, just to be clear.
Right.
Thank you.
Yep. But there's nothing that stops the Attorney from withdrawing that consent.
That would not be the process. So there is a power to discontinue prosecutions, but I think as the Attorney-General had discussed earlier, it has never been exercised since established and would be exceptional, and the CDPP operates as an independent agency making its decisions about continuing prosecutions.
Okay, so I just want to go sideways here then. The Attorney-General, again, Christian Porter, issued a Section 37 certificate to censor the Auditor-General. The new Attorney-General, Senator Cash, has withdrawn that.
To censor the Auditor-General, did you say?
The Auditor-General, that's correct. Amazingly, Christian Porter censored an Auditor-General's report.
In relation to this matter?
No, completely different matter. Completely different matter.
Oh, okay, so I needed to clarify what we were talking about.
Sure. So, and that Act doesn't talk about a withdrawing or modifying.
Senator, this is a different situation where criminal proceedings have now commenced. So that consent has been given at a point in time. The proceedings have now been commenced by the CDPP. The legislative mechanism in this matter is an exceptional power to discontinue prosecutions, but that has never been used.
Well, just because it's never been used doesn't mean, again, that it can't be used, and it's given to the Attorney by the Parliament because the attorney is the ultimate person responsible to the Parliament for prosecutions. So I'll go to the attorney. This issue clearly raises concerns in Timor-Leste, a friend of Australia's, or we haven't treated them like a friend, but they are a friend now. International relations may well not be in the bailiwick of the Director of Public Prosecutions, but certainly would be in your sphere of exercise of power. Noting that, and you'll have to take it on face value or go and have a look at what was tabled in the Senate, noting that the Timorese are incensed about this prosecution and public interest is something that could bring about the exercise of that power that you have, is that something you will consider, or will you simply ignore the Timor-Leste government? Parliament, I might say.
Well, again, Chair, I am aware, obviously, now through your conversations of the document that you have referred to, but as the Director has stated, and Chair, as you have also stated, the legal proceedings remain on foot. That was a decision by the Commonwealth Director of Public Prosecutions, and Chair, it would not be I know what you're trying to do, unfortunately, Senator Patrick, and you have tried this at previous Senate estimates hearings. It would not be appropriate to comment any further on the matter.
This goes to a decision to prosecute that is not a judicial decision. That's not something the judiciary do, something the executive does. So you can't suggest that that's sub judice. That doesn't make any sense.
Senator, I think as the issue has arisen at previous estimates,
Correct.
any commentary about issues relating to the public interest in proceeding and any of those matters in detail risks prejudicing criminal proceedings.
Well, you know what? I'm actually concerned about our relationship with Timor-Leste, and I'm quite entitled to be concerned about that relationship. I've put an affidavit on in the AAT from a learned professor who has deposed that the spying operation that took place in 2004 has caused the Timor-Leste government to look more favourably at relations with China. That's of considerable concern. Now, I look at the argument in this particular matter before Justice Mossop. One of the reasons that you're adopting a neither confirm nor deny
Senator
policy.
Patrick, I'm just going to interrupt you here. I don't know what you're about to say, but am
you
concerned...
can wait and hear what I've got to say. I'm not going to be silenced by you, Chair. I'm not going to be silenced by you. You don't have a role of censoring me.
Excuse
okay?
me...
If I breach a standing order...
Excuse me, Senator Patrick. This is not a question of silence. This is a question of asking you to comply with a very important convention.
And I am complying with...
And I'm just asking you to exercise a great deal of care
again and again and
so
again,
that you don't stray into the substantive issues in relation to this case.
I'm talking about relations with Timor-Leste. This is a fairly significant matter. I'm talking about...
Yes,
I'm talking
happy...
about the effect of this prosecution.
Yes, I'm happy for you to ask about that, but not in relation to the substantive allegations which are before the court, please.
Well, anyone who wants to go and look at this can simply go and have a look at some of the reported facts in the case that are being discussed in the affidavits. You know, everyone says this operation didn't take place.
Yes, can I just remind you, though, that just because something's in the public domain doesn't mean that it's not prejudicial.
Call, and I'll tell you why. The operation, the fact that the operation took place is confirmed by the conduct of both countries post-event.
Senator Patrick, do you have a question? I'm sorry, it is now 11 o'clock, so I'm just trying to obviously wrap up the proceedings for today. Very conscious of time, so do you think you could move to your question, please?
Unfortunately, Chair, you've obstructed me all of the way and it's chewed up a lot of time. Okay, so...
Well, that is a reflection on the Chair. I have not obstructed you. I have tried to deal with a very difficult issue and to give you as much scope as I possibly can as Chair of this committee. So please, if you could just move to your questions. And I am trying to work very hard with you, Senator Patrick.
You know, There are
I know-
60,000 Timorese died supporting us in World War II. And what do we do? We went and stole their oil. The thing that was going to bring them out of poverty.
Senator
Right,
Patrick,
they thought we were their friends.
Senator Patrick, could I ask you to move to your question, because we are going to need to finish for this evening, please.
Okay, so this goes to the attorney. With the knowledge that I've provided you, and I'm happy again to do it by way of letter or simply referring you to what was tabled in the Senate, with this new information, noting the sensitivities of the Parliament of Timor-Leste, are you inclined to reconsider your position, or it doesn't matter what they think?
Well, again, Chair, as the Director has noted, the legal proceedings do remain on foot, and
So
it
that's
would
a
not
no.
be
You're going to
appropriate for me
ignore
to
the
comment
Timor-Leste
on
Parliament.
So,
Parliament
Senator
any
Patrick, could
further.
you allow the Minister to complete her answer,
I've
please?
completed my answer. It would not be appropriate for me to comment on this matter any further.
Okay, well, that's
Senator Patrick,
is that
we
a
are
public
now
interest
over.
immunity claim?
We are now
Is that a
over
public
11 o'clock.
interest
We are
immunity
going to
claim?
have to complete
Well,
the
I might
proceedings
invoke
for
the
today.
Standing Order 26.4, which means we'll have to end up having a spillover. So just give me a couple more minutes.
So you need a couple.
I've asked you the question.
Senator
And
Patrick,
Chair,
just to
I have
get an
answered the
indication.
question. I have answered the question.
Senator Patrick, just to get an indication.
No, you
from
said it's
time.
not appropriate. That's
Senator
not public
Patrick?
interest immunity.
So, Senator Patrick,
Senator?
could I just ask you to pause? Just, you're looking for a couple
Sure.
more minutes, is
Yeah,
it?
that's all.
Okay, thank you. We're trying to work, I
No,
know
I
this is
understand.
difficult, I know this is something that
But
means a
Senator
lot to you,
Patrick,
but-
as you and I have previously discussed, if given the additional information that you have now referred to tonight, you are more than welcome to write to me.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you.